The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
This is Haymaker Combat Sports. Here, coming straight from the source. Only with the real, they ain't here to dress it up. Sweet science, MMA, you can get it all from us. Trust, 5 stars cause it's live. And through the fight game, we can guide ya. Slick talking, putting them in caution. Passing all the goals cause the audio is awesome. What you waiting for? Spread the word, tell a friend. This the podcast where all of the discussion ends. When they start going strike for strike, this the show that'll tell you what you seen in the fight. They ain't playing on the mic, this a welcome to the show. Warm it up for the squad, Haymaker of the bros. I'm a bow wow, you can hear it from the pros. It's Haymaker Combat Sports, time to roll.
Welcome back, Haymaker Combat Sports, powered by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. I am your host, EJ Reed, and once again joined by my fellow co-host, Aaron Admire, Steve Johnson. How's it going, fellas?
Good, going good.
Pretty good, man. Here another day.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a while since we recorded. They had a little bit of space in between the last pay-per-view that they had with the UFC. Anything new going on in the world? And I say that sarcastically, of course.
Man, so much stuff's happened since the last time we talked. A presidential attempted assassination, a president dropped out. I mean, the world's gone crazy.
Yeah, we're not a political show, but like am I saying, it's a lot in the news cycle. And this is only the beginning of it. It's going to be a crazy fall. So look forward to that. Look forward to family and friends fighting on Facebook and people going to stop talking to each other. That's always fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, and we had a death. The death of Slim Shady.
Ah, yeah, album. I know you're a Eminem fan. Steve, are you an Eminem fan at all?
Let's just say he's made a few art pieces as far as his music, and for the content of rapper who he said insane things in one of his first albums where he's popular. I more have known him for the crazy things he said in songs. The hilarious things is Slim Shady first version, but other than that, his Eminem version made nice music that I like, poetic stuff. But he gets a little too crazy when he gets a little turned to Slim Shady.
Any younger people listening to this, go look back and listen to Kim if you haven't heard it. But yeah, Eminem's always been in my top 5, top 3 of all time. I mean, I think I've become kind of like a prisoner of this time and age. Like, I don't really listen to albums like I used to. Like, even if my favorite artists, like especially this decade, I've been like a single type person. I listen to singles, like I'm disposable music is, but I'm definitely gonna check out that new Eminem album because, like I said, I was the biggest Eminem fan, especially between Slim Shady LP and Encore. Encore is when he kind of dipped off a little bit, and then he came back with the Relapse, and then what was the one after that?
Recovery.
Yeah, Recovery. Yeah, he has his ups and downs. I like the Marshall Mathers LP too. It was kind of underrated, but I've been hearing good reviews for the Death of Slim Shady. Is it any good?
I was on a road trip and my daughter was in the car and I listened to about the first half of it, but then I was like, I got to turn this off. It's, he kind of reverted back to some of the old stuff that a 12-year-old shouldn't really be hearing. But I mean, the beats were nice. The flow was nice. I mean, I liked it, but kind of what you touched on though, I think we're spoiled by the MP3 generation where we can just stream anything. Everybody's libraries are full of just here and there great songs. You don't have to buy the CD and listen to it all the way through and do it that way. You can just listen to the goods that you hear. All my music that I get now, it comes from TikTok. I'll hear a song on TikTok, download it, and that's what I'm listening to. I mean, I haven't downloaded a full album in I don't know how long.
I have playlists for days with like songs here and there that I like, and I used to be an album guy. Like, if you see, I still got all my albums in my like CD books stored off in my closet. But like you said, like the time. People don't have a time. Like you used to sit with albums in the car back in the day because you had to. You paying what $20 or $15.99 for the CD. Best believe I'm gonna listen to that like 100 times at least in a year.
Yeah. Well, I know we're a combat sports show, but just real quick, both of you get stuck in the car with one rap album that you have to listen to all the way through, no skips. You have to listen to it the whole way. What one rap album are you picking?
I'm probably picking the Black Album.
That's a good one.
Most likely, I'll probably pick a Pac album. Maybe All Eyes on Me.
Double album. That'd be a good one. Mine, I've always told everybody the one rap album from the 90s that you could listen to, no skips, Bone Thugs and Harmony, East 1999 Eternal.
That's a classic too. Can't go wrong with any of the three that we named, but I'm definitely going to check out that Marshall Mathers LP. Another thing that kind of gets me in this streaming era is you can see, because I looked at the track listing for the Eminem. I just haven't got to listen to it. I'm gonna listen to that, and the Childish Gambino just came out with one, so I'm gonna listen to that. Is the length of albums, man. I like a clear, concise 13, 14 done. They put it to like 20-something songs so they can get the streaming numbers and they can get the sales, but it just waters it down to me, and I'm not gonna return to it if it's like a 20-something song album all the way through. And I think that kind of contributes, like you said, to Admire, just putting stuff on playlists here and there. These damn long ass albums nowadays.
Yeah, and I listening to the new Eminem, I think there were one or two songs in the first half of it that were like 45 seconds long or something like that. They were kind of like a skit or like an interlude like they used to do on a lot of the Death Row records.
I miss interludes. People, that seems like that artist died. The art of the interlude and albums and whatnot, and skits, like, you know, Eminem with the Steve Berman skits back on. I don't know if he could get away with the Ken Kniff stuff anymore, but you said he kind of dipped into it a little bit when you were listening to it with your daughter.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she's not quite old. Maybe in a few years she can listen to that. But anything else going on this past weekend with y'all too?
None for me. Just checked out some boxing. That's the only thing I did.
So it's crazy that, I guess my life been going 100 miles an hour, but usually I would be sitting and watching the last card and missed it. So I got some catching up to do as far as just missing the last fight card.
You talking about the fight night in the Apex?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I didn't even watch it. I mean, that's bad to me. If anybody wants to go back that's listening to it now, I did the card before last, the one that was in Denver. I did a solo show and threw it up on the YouTube page on Belly Up. So, but besides that Apex card, I heard not much went on. I know I think Lemos won by submission, or did she lose by submission? I skimmed over the results, but they gotta, I mean, I know they're not gonna stop because they got the TV deal, but these watered down cards, man, are skippable. So I know they're getting money, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it has rewatch value when you're just throwing on these random cards. But another thing that went on that Admire was talking about, you had Jake Paul fighting Mike Perry, and he won. And we'll probably talk more so the X's O's when we do the boxing show, but Admire didn't seem too impressed. Jake Paul won by a 6-round knockout. You weren't impressed by, I guess, the level of competition?
Okay, so like we're in the same group on the Carl's page, and I posted something, and reading it, it seems like I'm playing both sides of it. I want Jake Paul to fight somebody that's top 20 cruiserweight that's actually his weight. You know, Mike Perry was very undersized. But at the same time, I'm going to give Jake Paul props because he looks like a real boxer now. Like his skill level, you can tell, has grown like crazy. So, I mean, I think he's I'll say now, a good boxer. Is he the best? No. Is he tested? No. But he's a 27-year-old millionaire who doesn't have any obligations to anything. He can spend all day, every day training boxing with the best partners, the best coaches, the best equipment, the best of the best. And he was already an athletic guy in shape to begin with. So it's not that hard to get his level up when that's all he focuses on. So I'm going to say he's a good boxer, and, we'll see what happens if he fights a real boxer. Now, I was turned off in this boxing match at the end where he called out Mike Tyson. Like, you just beat Mike Perry. Call somebody out that's a boxer. Don't call out I don't even know how old Tyson is, 54, 6?
He's almost 60. He's like 58.
58. Yeah. Why are you calling out a 58-year-old boxer that's been retired for years? But he keeps making money. So, I mean, I hate his promotional aspect of it. I hate his talk. I hate his call outs. I hate his opponents. But, I mean, he's got some skill.
So I get what you're saying. He does have access to the best equipment, the best trainers, but you had a lot of people that, like celebrities or whatnot, that try to do it as well and end up being trash. So you got to take into account his just natural skill too, on top of the training and stuff that he does. So you can't take that away with it. And like you said, everybody probably wants to see him face a top 20 cruiserweight, but it's a lot of layers to that. First, that's not going to make him the most money fighting just a random 19 ranked cruiserweight. But he does say he wants to get the belt. I'm just afraid. I mean, I'm not a Jake Paul hater, but I'm not like a fan of the kid. But I'd be afraid they try to throw him in the deep end and he just gets knocked the fuck out. Like if they try to throw him to a top 5 just to rush him to a cruiserweight shot, I would like to see him go against at least a top 17 if he really does want to win the belt. But I think he probably is going to stay track of just trying to make money. And I don't know if he's really about winning the actual cruiserweight, the WBA, WBO, IBF, or WBC title. But I don't know. What are your thoughts, Steve, on this whole?
I think he is going to stick to the money, because we're talking about that's like a 3 or 4-year-old trying to tell you how to walk. As a 30-something-year-old, you'll be like, you may be able to, but how can you tell me? And that's how I feel about Jake Paul saying he wants to be a champion, unless he has a handicap like he's been doing, age or, to win a belt, you're going to have to fight real fighters. And these people have synchronicity to their body in boxing downloaded since they are 8, 7, some younger, 5, and ain't no way he's some astronomical person that can close the gap with professional boxers. I really don't believe it. He's a good boxer, but then it's almost like when you get into there with somebody who's been doing all their life, simple tricks, going in and things that you have to learn over a lifetime in boxing, to where one simple adjustment can get him knocked out in a professional setting. I think he sticks to making money, because I think if he messes anybody professional, it's going to be bad for him.
Yeah, Tommy Fury isn't like a top 20 guy, but he's like a guy that's been doing it all his life, and his brother is a heavyweight champion. And Jake Paul lost, but he didn't look like a bum in there. That was a professional boxer.
True, but as far as like people we've seen, most boxers that have a name been exploited on the TV, or we know them. And not saying there's boxers that out there can challenge him, but if he's going to jump in there and get the championship, we're going to have to start seeing known boxers to where even on an amateur level or a low professional level, we haven't accept him. Tyson Fury's brother, Tommy Fury. I think we haven't seen a lot. And then saying we haven't seen Tommy Fury all over the TV, it just shows what a caliber Tommy Fury is. I don't think he's the best of all worlds. And, I'm not saying they any different as brothers, but, they might not share the same genetics, is why he's great.
Well, yeah, they're only half brothers, so maybe that plays a part of it. So Admire, you mentioned him calling out Mike Tyson, but you kind of skimmed over another guy he called out, our current UFC light heavyweight champion, Alex Pereira. That's another MMA guy, but I feel like that would make your eyes open up a little bit wide if you saw that matchup put on paper. I feel like you're a big Alex Pereira fan.
Yeah, for sure. But it's still not the same. It's like, it's still boxing versus a whole different game. That's like somebody who's new to tennis telling a pickleball player to come play tennis. It's kind of related, but it's still not.
Yeah, and it's kind of because Alex Pereira, even though he's an MMA champion, he's deep down inside he's a kickboxer, but still the mechanics for that are still different from regular boxing. But he's nice with his hands, so I don't know. I feel like people would, if they were to make that fight tomorrow, I feel like the line would be like Alex Pereira, like a plus 150 or something really close like that, just because people will think that he knocked Jake Paul out.
Yeah, and I was seeing a lot of people online saying Dana White should call Jake Paul's bluff and say, okay, Pierre's go fight him. Like, just let it happen and fucking let Pierre just go smash him. But I don't know if it would be a smashing just because it's a whole different game of mechanics. Like, but at least Alex Pierre has a foundation of fighting to where he could do nothing but train boxing and probably get on that level. If you look at the MMA fighters that Jake Paul has fought in boxing, they were all guys that were really kind of out of the game or past their prime. Alex Pierre is in his prime. So it would be a little bit different of a fight. I mean, I would watch it. Do I want it to happen? Not really.
Like you said, you got Dana White. He's too prideful to call his bluff. Dana White wants things to go his way. He wants all the control. I don't think he'll make it happen. But as far as like the mechanics of it, Steve, do you agree with Amai, or you have anything to add on, or maybe?
I definitely agree. And it's funny you say this because I was watching a clip about Pierre sparring a boxer. And don't get me wrong, he can keep up with these boxers because he has little subtle tricks. I'm pretty sure y'all can see in the MMA, like he did with
Jamal Hill.
Jamal Hill, he did a little trick, stepped on his foot, and then launched that left hook he has. So little simple things like that. But when I watched the sparring match, he was getting lit up by jabs, and I've kind of see why, because he's really relying on his footwork with the handwork. And although Mike Perry doesn't so much use his leg work, he's, like I said, he's used to MMA boxing, and Alex Pierre is used to that MMA boxing, to where Jake may be able to close gap, because it almost like he has to stop his brain from working because he's not doing his main art, which is kickboxing. So you can tell that he was kind of glitching with this boxer, because you could tell he was itching to throw a leg kick, and that's a big part of his boxing game, I think.
Yeah. I got to see that clip. You said he was keeping up with the boxer, but it's for real. The boxer was lighting him up. Like, he hit him with a jab, and he tried to launch that left hook, that front left hook, and the jab was like staffling him backwards, like a joint, people on the horse with a joist, like keeping him back, and he couldn't get anything off. I'll have to send you that clip, but he struggles with real boxers. Alex Pierre does. Okay, I can see that. Like Amai says, two different sports. But going back to Jake Paul, we know what's next for him. It's going to be Mike Tyson. I think Mike Tyson's a 60-year-old. I think it's going to be bad for Tyson, but maybe Jake Paul will carry Tyson through it, but we'll see.
Man, but like there's a TikTok going around right now, not related to fighting, but it was Mike Tyson was on one of the morning shows with Ebro. I don't remember which show they're on.
That's Hot 97. Is Ebro.
Hot 97. And Mike Tyson actually for once looked like an old man and talked like an old man. Like, it seemed like age had caught up with him. Like, I don't even know if Mike Tyson's even going to be able to get licensed for this. Like, it seemed like he really aged over the last couple months.
Well, that's what happened in Texas. You know, anything goes in Texas. That's the wild, wild west. They'll license 90-year-old grandpa there if it's gonna make money. But yeah, I guess we gotta see what happens. It might get canceled again when it gets closer to November. But another guy who actually fought Jake Paul, Nate Diaz, he had a fight with Jorge Masvidal. That's another one. We'll probably talk more of the X's O's on the boxing show. But did this come across y'all's radar? Because I didn't really hear about it till the day of, and then I didn't even watch live. I went back and watched it like the weekend after.
I watched it. I mean, it was, pretty much a MMA guy with decent boxing against an MMA guy with very little boxing. It wasn't good. I mean, Nate Diaz, of course, won. He's the better boxer of the two, but it's still not great boxing.
Well, besides how the actual fight went down, Nate Diaz says he was promised $10 million for the fight with Jorge, but claims he never got 90% of the cash, and now he's suing so he can get that money. I guess this I don't even know what promotion through this. It's Fanmio, something I never heard of. So how do y'all think this thing will play out? Y'all think he actually gets his money, or you think this will get dragged on for years and years? I'll start off for you, Admire.
If the contract was signed for a certain amount, then he will get paid. From the news reports I read, the event had like a $1 million gate, so that didn't really cover any of the promised payments. I don't know what kind of pay-per-view numbers it did. I mean, I could probably do a search real quick.
I heard it didn't do well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys that are leaving the UFC and other promotions and doing these other, side fights, they think that they're gonna get a lot of views because they got this name value. Diaz and Masvidal both went out on losses, I'm pretty sure. And that was in their sport of MMA. So I just used a reference a minute ago about tennis and pickleball. Do you want to see a professional golfer retire from golf, and are you going to pay to go watch him play hockey? No. Like they think their name's carrying a bunch of value, but it's not.
Shit, I might watch Serena play some pickleball.
That would be fun.
Steve, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's we call maybe a wake-up call. Carrying over events as an MMA fighter doesn't necessarily attach you to another combat sport unless you have an amazing name like Conor McGregor done, and I think that was I think for something like to happen like that, a new promotion has to catch wave, and then that new star has to fight. I guess Mayweather's too old, but the next person leading in boxing, and even then, that was probably a once in a lifetime thing. It seems like everything, the fireworks die down after Conor, and it doesn't hold its weight. What other people are doing, maybe they got byproduct of what Conor did or trickle money, but Conor definitely stamped his name as the king of crossing over. Now, other people, like you said, they went into boxing on a losing streak to where they have big names for who they are. But I think that prestigeness of your record and just coming in like undefeated or two-time champion going against you have to have that. And these people didn't come into that boxing game with any credentials with the name.
Yeah. And this is such a niche sport. If you come into, like you said, if you made your name off of UFC and you're a pretty big name, that weight carries in the UFC. But when you try to go out outside company that doesn't, it's like a startup company, you're not gonna make money because that company doesn't really have a name. I think they tried to do that with what was it? It was Chuck Liddell versus Ortiz 3. I think they said that it sold terribly, even though my dumb ass ordered it. I can't remember which company did it. I think it might have been Ortiz's company that did it. That did terribly. Oh no, it's Golden Boy. It was Golden Boy. Yeah. It was Golden Boy. I don't know what made me think of that all of a sudden, but yeah, that didn't. I don't think that did well because Golden Boy MMA folded right after that. Unless
Oscar
you're
didn't even know the names of the fighters. It was so bad.
yeah, exactly. And if you're only two people I think that actually could make some money, it's just because their names are that big, they transcend pop culture. And I don't even think Floyd could do it anymore. I was gonna say Floyd, but Connor, I think he's the only one that could probably go off and do a startup thing and actually get people to buy over 500,000. Because like Amar said, like they had $1 million gate, but they were banking on they would get their money back with the pay-per-view buys. And I think they said they had to sell at least 800 to be able to pay 800,000 pay-per-views to be able to pay Nate Diaz. And I don't even think they hit the 6-figure buy rate. So I don't know. Like I said, I think that bubble is burst. Like all of these random promotions trying to pop up and make money. The YouTube circus era. I think that bubble is burst now that the pandemic is over. I think that was like a pandemic niche when people had to stay in the house and people were actually kind of buying it a little bit. But I don't know. If they aren't able to pay his money back, I guess they'll probably like just garnish wages, I guess. Or I'm sure the people will probably declare bankruptcy or something to get around it. But I don't know. I don't know. What popped up on your feed, Admire?
I'm trying to find the pay-per-view buys, but it's not coming up. I mean, you know, Dave Meltzer, he said it did what did he say? It did TNA numbers is what he's reporting. So, you know, it says TNA does, you know, at its height, it does 60,000 pay-per-views. At the low, it does like 5,000. So it sounds like it did probably less than 60,000.
That's embarrassing. Well, let's hope Nick gets his money. That's terrible. I think more people tune into like random YouTube streams more than 60,000. That's awful. Well, let's hope he gets his money. Moving on to another Diaz, though. UFC's Nick Diaz has travel issue with Vicente Luque and a fight postponed. So we're not going to see Nick Diaz again at this Abu Dhabi card. Do y'all think he really has travel issues, or y'all think there's something other that's going on behind the scenes, more nefarious?
When is the Abu Dhabi card?
It is September. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I think it's in a couple weeks. I don't want to get the date wrong. But it's August 3rd. It's August 3rd, so it's like next week.
Yeah, but like
after next.
Why is this just coming out? Why are they just now figuring out he has travel issues? Like, don't they book their travel in advance and like check? You know, I would think the UFC like sponsors everybody's passports and make sure everybody has a passport.
Yeah, it sounds a little weird to me. So I'm guessing you're thinking it's something else that they're not telling us.
Yeah, there's got to be. I mean, I think if I recall right, Nick's last couple fights, he came in very out of shape and unprepared. I mean, I doubt he took this one very serious.
What do you think, Steve?
Well, I guess they always been hard to deal with, and although you don't want to say that's not their excuse because these are tough men that get in the octagon, but they've been having iffy moments in their past, and I don't know him personally, but it seems like Nick or Nate be like, man, I ain't trying to go all the way to Abu Dhabi or something like that. And I can see him, and not to go over further, maybe, I don't know. Maybe Nick are pretty clean dudes as far as, you know, not too rowdy, but I hope not. And I don't think it's because of a cultural thing. He has to fight temporarily or be up there for a week to be out of his American comfortability, because I don't think any of them do anything too much American that they can't do in Abu Dhabi. I don't know if the place is cramping his style. He don't want to travel that far. Possibly there are these things, or he's just having a hissy fit and finding a reason not to do it because he always finds something that's not right with their contracts, whether we agree with it or not.
Man, I think it could be a combination of a lot of things. Both of y'all said. Admire's probably right. Probably he's not in shape, and then I don't think he wants to travel that far. He probably saw how long the flight is. He's like, "Fuck that! I'm not traveling that far." And then I don't think you could get. I don't think Abu Dhabi is no weed there too. So he's like, I can't smoke there either.
Yeah, very, very strict laws over there. So, you know, they're known to get into scuffles, pre-fight, weigh-ins, all that type of shit. And I mean, Abu Dhabi is a very strict country that doesn't really play that shit. So it's probably not a good place for him as it is.
End up like Brittany Griner.
Yeah, we'll see Nick Diaz for years. Get put in those jails. I wouldn't fuck with it, but I don't know. I mean, when I saw it got canceled, I'm like, it wasn't really that disappointing because, like Admire said, he's 40 now and he's past his prime. I feel like Nate kind of surpassed him in like folklore and popularity. It used to be Nick was the main guy, and then I guess when Nate did Connor, it kind of pushed Nate ahead as far as popularity. All of their fans are crazy anyway, but
yeah, and the fact that Nick hasn't won a fight in like 13 years.
That's crazy. I mean, he's only fought like 3 times in 13 years, but that is still crazy statistic that he lost. Like even the fight that got overturned by Anderson Silva, he lost that fight. And he lost. He said he lost to Robbie Lawler, and I don't know. It's time. I think it's time for him to retire, but who knows with those guys? It's hard to get inside the head of those 2 guys. But before we get into this card, there's another follow-up story. A story we talked about when it broke. When Jon Jones, when the drug testers came there, that broke out. But recently, I think it was last week, actually the day before my birthday, he was charged with 2 misdemeanors in the case involving those agents. So do y'all think anything happens with this? Because I think he only got, like I said, he only got charged with misdemeanors, so it's not like it's felonies. But do you think it's more with this story that we didn't hear since he's actually being charged with misdemeanors? Because the way when we talked about it earlier, it sounded like it was like just an argument a little bit, and then they got everything, settled and cleared as far as the misunderstanding, the way Jon Jones described it. But he's getting charged with misdemeanors. I'm guessing there's more to it to the story. What do you think, Admire?
Yeah, I mean, to be charged, there's got to be some kind of evidence that surfaced or something. So, I mean, I don't know if we're getting the full story, but it obviously isn't good. But, I mean, we know celebrities with money, connections, they can get out of anything. So, it'll just be another slap on the wrist for Jon Jones.
You think so too, Steve? Is there going to be no slap on the wrist?
Maybe so. I was also thinking since UFC and the doping agency, the new one, they collaborate and work together.
Mm-hmm.
I think they work out to do their job that they're asked, but also protect each company's reputation. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's a situation where, it's funny how these celebrities get into things, and it's funny how we hear about them maybe 2 or 3 years later. Maybe this is one of those situations to where somebody's going to pull it up, dig into the research after things go through the court. And then we'll just have another story about Jon Jones a year or 2 later and hear the details. But I think it's to protect the interest of both companies because they obviously work together. And other than their job, they're not trying to totally say the details other than probably the drug test. Anything other than that is probably defamation of character. And why would you even make contracts to do that to each other company? So I think it's to protect the details and interest of the UFC.
Yeah. So I remember Jon Jones released a video of them walking out, and it didn't seem like a hostile situation. So I was like believing him that they just got into a little argument, but he got charged. So I hate to speculate, but what possibly do y'all think could have actually happened inside? Because like I said, it looked like they were calm walking out.
I mean, he might have pushed them. It could have been anything like that, to a UFC fighter, a little push that's nothing to them. They're used to physical contact. Well, a doping agency that's there to do piss testing and try to bust somebody is going to take that as I was assaulted. Like it could be a lot of that.
I can also see Jon Jones, the tough guy he is, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. There's previous videos of him being robbed and running after somebody with a shotgun.
Yeah, I saw that.
I wouldn't do that personally, you know, but he ran out in his driveway chasing the dude. That you gotta be hardcore to do that. Me thinking what possibly happened, he probably showed brandished the gun.
Yeah, that could be a thing too.
He probably brandished the gun, and so if it was maybe I don't know law all the way, but maybe the scenario to where if it was somebody random knocking on the door, oh, he had the right, you walked, he didn't know. But this is an agency that's contracted to go to your house, and maybe that's what was the thing that where he had to get in trouble. You point a gun at somebody that was going to your house for you agreed on in UFC contract.
Yeah,
But we
different
don't
states.
know if he pulled a gun though, so I don't know.
Yeah, different states have different stand your ground laws, but when it comes down to law, what it all boils down to, which is in most laws and statutes, intent. So that's what it boils down to. The elements of a lot of crimes and torts is intent. So I don't know. I just want them to fight. I'm thinking we're going to get them at New York, the not the Brooklyn card, the MSG card. So I just hope he keeps his nose out of trouble until that happens, when or if it happens.
Yeah, so I've been hearing rumors about that. Something like a New York card in November is what they're eyeing up for Stipe and Jon Jones. But you have that fight coming up this weekend that's for interim. I mean, to me, it's weird that they still have an interim out there, but they're going to have Jon Jones fight somebody else. I mean, I guess that automatically makes whoever wins this weekend the number one contender, but it's weird having that, you know, fake belt floating around.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there may have been one similar scenario. This is like in the 2000s. I'd have to go back and look remember when Frank Mir got in that accident, and I think maybe Brock Lesnar or Randy Couture stepped in, and they may have defended it once. So don't quote me, but I think something like that happened back in the day. But it is weird. I don't even know why they gave him that interim belt, just because they wanted to say a belt was on the line, which I hate that model, but that's what they like to stick to. So, like you said, it's weird because, like you said, he's defending an interim belt, even though Jon Jones is going to be appearing. And like you said, I guess they're the number one contender. But I guess we have to see how that shakes out if he even fights the winner of this weekend. But it's a good segue into this weekend's card. UFC 304 coming live from, is it Manchester, England?
Manchester, England.
Yeah, Manchester, England at the Co-op Live Arena. And before we talk about the card, man, I thought UFC 301 was like kind of weak. I feel like this is on the same level as far as like hype. Y'all see any hype around this really? I mean, you got 2 title fights, one in the interim, but I'm sure it's going to get a lot of the locals because they got a local guys on there. But as far as hype around here, did y'all feel a hype for this one really?
No, I mean, the top 3 fights of the card are really all that I'm interested in. I mean, you got Molly McCann down there on the prelims, you know, that might be all right to watch. And then the early prelims, you got Cape on there, and then that's about it.
Steve?
That's exactly what I was about to say. Kappa Izzy and Molly, she's not that exciting, you know. I think it's her caliber of skill of who she's fighting is. She's not getting these knockouts like she was, so I'm not too excited for her. Cape, I want to see, and then everything else above is main card. Literally everybody that we would want to see. So everything before is not keeping people in the seats to look at the main card, I think.
Yeah. On the main card, you have a guy that doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
But I've seen Christian Leroy Duncan. I've seen him fight. Somebody needs to get on that, get the guy Wikipedia page. But yeah, not a lot of spice on this one, so to speak. But yeah, let's start from the early preliminary card that's on ESPN Plus. In the women's strawweight, you got Shauna Bannon versus Alice Ardeline. In the heavyweight division, you got Mick Parkin versus Lucas Bresky. Welterweight, you have Sam Patterson versus Kiefer Crosby. In the flyweight division, you have Mohammed Mokabe versus Manel Cap. And welterweight for the early prelims, you have Oban Elliott versus Preston Parsons. So I know the one that's on y'all radar, that Mokabe versus Cap. How do you see this playing out? You think Cap is going to get the win in that one? Because Mokabe ain't no punk.
I don't know, man. Cape, he just always seems to. I don't know. He puts on a good show. He's on a good winning streak right now. Always exciting. Muhammad, quite a really good fighter, undefeated, really. So, I mean, it's a great fight. I would have liked to seen this fight higher up in the order, but you got to have the card, something interesting on the early prelims. But I mean, if anything, it should be headlining the early prelims.
I'm guessing you're gonna co-sign that, Steve.
Definitely. Cape, he's an exciting fighter. He throws piston straights. He's got fire in him as far as talking back and entertaining us with arguments between his opponent. I think his biggest problem he's going to have, from what I see, this dude Mokabe, is he's probably going to be going for the ground. And dude has 6 wins out of his two knockouts and 6 by submission. And I think Cape is more of a stand-up fighter. I think an outstanding one. But I think he may have had problems in his past fight with people timing the takedown on him. So hopefully his grappling game and wrestling has upgraded since his last fights, because I think that was his weakness last time I saw Cape, who I'm hoping to win this fight.
Yeah, so we have 5. That's a lot of fights on the prelims, early prelims. But yeah, usually with those, I'll see how those results come out, and if I hear it's a good fight, I'll go back and watch it, depending on what I'm doing Saturday. But let's jump into the regular prelims. It's going to be on ESPN2. Light heavyweight, you have Modestas Bukakas versus Marcin Persino Neo. And then the bantamweight division, we had Jake Hadley versus Colin Lugran. And then the women's strawweight division, we had Molly McCann versus Bruna Brazil. And then the featured fight on the prelims, we have in the featherweight division, Nathaniel Wood versus Daniel Pineda. You spoke, I can't remember if it was you, Steve, or Admire was talking about Molly McCann. I think it might have been Steve talking about her not getting any knockouts. Is this kind of like a make or break fight for Molly McCann, y'all think?
I think so. She won her last one, but she, 2 losses before that, won 3 before that, lost 2 before that. So it's probably evaluation time.
I mean, I guess at this point, is she just one of those? I don't even know how to describe her.
Gatekeeper.
But she, like, everybody gets excited when she comes out. So I'm trying to think of a fighter recently, but I'm pulling out an old name. Like a Donald Cerrone, one of those guys. Like, because I've been to a fight that she had, and she's fighting in person. I think it was the one where it was in it was in Greenville, and like everybody was going crazy when she came out. So I guess is she that one type of fighter that's just a fan favorite? She shouldn't even probably try to think about contending.
What I think about Molly McCann is, I don't know if y'all might see this perspective. I think there's gatekeepers that have skills and gatekeepers that are there because of their name. I think she rode the wave off of Patty Pimlet, that Britain or English ride. She's there every England card. They make sure she's there because obviously she's bringing views. But I think she's just a person that ride the wave off her name and other things around her scenarially more than we know a gatekeeper status like Jeff Neal. You know, we know he gives a hard fight, and it's not just a whooping. He has a war versus Molly McCann just been getting destroyed when she loses. And an easily flaw in her game is that ground game. So it's like a coin toss with Molly versus we're actually, I think, for example, like I said, Jeff Neal, that's a gatekeeper with skill, and she hasn't been showing skillful wins or actual battle through those 3 rounds to even be a gatekeeper to me.
Not to go off too much off the rail. I think Jeff Neal, if he get a couple wins, he might be in contention. Neil Magny, when I think of gatekeeper, I think of Neil Magny as like the ultimate gatekeeper.
Yeah. And even him, he has a little bit of tricks up his sleeve and skills and has a good decisive battle before he's taken out. Like she's just looked like she gets dominated every time she loses.
Yeah. So I guess like you said, she's cool with Patty, the baddie. So maybe she'll draw a little bit of eyes on those prelims. But yeah, let's jump into the main card. I don't know if you have the odds on all these fights or if you could pull it up. But UFC, like I said, UFC 304 going down in Manchester, England. So our records after the last card, I think I pulled a little bit away from Steve. So I am 27-15. Am 24-18, and Steve is 21-21. So you're at 500, Steve. Let's see if you can catch up with this one. But the curtain jerker in this one at featherweight division, we have Arnold Allen versus Giga Chikadze. This is probably be a sneaky good fight. I'll let you kick this on Admire. Who you got?
Yeah, this is one of them sneaky fights. You know, Arnold Allen, he's on, I think, a 2-fight losing streak. He lost to Max Holloway and that Movsar Evlov. But you know, he's up there. He's fought a lot of the good guys. Dan Hooker, Calvin Kattar, and then the 2 losses that I just mentioned. So I mean, he's a real good fighter. Chikadze, I think won the last one. Yeah, he beat Bruce Leroy last and then lost to Qatar also. So they've kind of faced the same opponents, kind of on the same path. This should be a decent fight to open up the card. Let me see the odds. The odds have this at Arnold Allen as a -245 favorite against Chikadze at a +200. So Allen heavy favorite on this one going in. He is opening up the main card. They are in England, so I would expect Allen to pull off this one. I think it's kind of set up in his favor.
So you have Arnold Allen. I mean, if it goes to decision, I don't trust those judges over there, but is going with Allen. What do you think, Steve?
I haven't trusted those judges over there ever since Bisping beat Matt Hamill.
I was thinking Bisping and Anderson Silva.
That one too.
Well, I like Chikadze. I like the way he throws the piston back leg to the body. He has a special skill, and I've been having my eye on him ever since he taken out Barboza, which I was looking at his past fights. That just had to remind me that he even fought him, and it just reminded me of the fight, how he was dominating Barboza. And we all know Barboza is a skillful striker. I think Chikadze's problem, if he can't get his feet planted, like in the Kadar fight and keeping him backed up, I think he's going to be in trouble. But then again, Chikadze, I think, took a long layoff. Not even after that Kadar fight, but even after this, his last fight with Caceres took a
Yeah,
long.
yeah. Bruce Leroy. That was almost a year ago. That was August of last year.
Yeah, I think he's got some weapons in his repertoire to show us. I know he's not just sitting there after that. I can tell by he got his butt kicked by Kadar that he went to the drawing board. I think he had injuries, but I know for a fact he didn't like that domination that he got from him.
And you said Jacasey is he's a plus what, Admire?
Plus 200 underdog.
Man, they probably know he's probably got Alan Allen's got some home cooking because I don't know why I feel like this should be like a pick 'em fight. I'm with Steve. I think I like Jacasey. Is that your official pick, Steve? You're picking Giga?
Yeah, I am.
I think I'm going with Giga as well, but I don't trust those judges because if it goes to decision, I really see it going Allen's way. But for some reason, I think Jacasey gets the job done. I don't know which round, might be late third round, but unless it's just pure dominance, you can't get robbed. I mean, you still can get robbed even if you dominate. But yeah, I like Giga this one, even though that long layoff, he beat Bruce Leroy. Everybody, Kadar is like one of those ultimate gatekeepers. Like he's gonna fend off like the contenders, like people on the rise, but he's just not gonna win the belt. So there's no shame in losing the Cater because Jacasey lost the Cater as well. But I don't know. I think he mixes it up well, and I think he gets the job done. So me and Steve are both going with Giga in this one. Let's move on to the next fight in this one. CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez. And like I might say, for some reason, CLD doesn't have a Wikipedia, but he came into UFC with a lot of fight. He's an England guy. He does have a loss in the UFC, but besides that, he's looked good. Has a few finishes. Like I said, there's a lot of hype around him. So let's see if he could actually cash in on the hype. But what do you think about this one, Admire?
For me, I'm just I'm using analytics on this one. I'm going with CLD on this one. He doesn't have a Wikipedia. He's from England and he's on the main card. So they know something about this guy that I don't. And then add in the odds, he's a minus 142 favorite against Gregory's plus 120. It's pretty close odds, but he's got the edge. So CLD is my pick.
All right. Am I going with CLD? Steve?
Man, this is hard because I can't vaguely remember. I vaguely remember his fights, but I do think I remember that he gave Ribeiro his last fight a devastating knockout, and I can't remember exactly how. But just me guessing off my knowledge of MMA, I'm guessing he's nothing to play around, especially if he's getting KOs out of his 4 fights that's been in the UFC. Rodriguez, I always thought he was a beast, but although Fiera, he's a little compact Hulk little guy, he surprised me with getting knocked out like Rodriguez got knocked out like he did. So that made me think he's subdable to make me think Christian does have a chance.
Yeah, that Bruno Ferreira fight, is that the one you're referring to where he got knocked out?
On who again?
Bruno knocked him out. Rodriguez.
Fiera?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about that one. Yeah, that one surprised me. I didn't think he was going to get knocked out. But since I only seen Rodriguez and I know he has devastating power, I'm going to go with Rodriguez. Just because the only thing I know and seen his fights. But I'm pretty sure Christian Leroy is nothing to be played with either.
Man, I'm scared of it where the fights are happening because Rodriguez he also got a TKO over Brad Tavares, and Brad Tavares is no joke.
And I think that was a hard KO to get too. They're going back and forth, I think.
Yeah. This is a hard one to pick because I'm still scared of this home cooking as far. What was the betting odds on this, Admire?
On this one,
Yeah.
minus 142 and plus 120.
Who's the plus?
Gregory.
Oh. I think I'm hesitant about this, but I'm gonna go at CLD on this one. I think it goes to decision, and he gets a little home cooking, and he gets the nod. So me and Admire are both going with CLD, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rodriguez catches him with something and puts him to sleep. But let's move on to the thick of this things, the nitty gritty. One of Admire's favorite fighters, Paddy the Baddy versus Bobby King Green, or two of his favorite fighters, Bobby King Green in the lightweight division. Since these are two of your favorite fighters, Admire, I'll let you kick this off.
Man, this one, I love this fight just because it's two guys I traditionally pick against and don't like. So it's a win-win for me getting to watch these two beat the shit out of each other. This one, I've always bet against Bobby Green. I'm taking Bobby Green this time.
Wow.
He's looked really good in his past few fights. He did get that one knockout loss a couple fights ago, but other than that, he's looked pretty good. Paddy Pimblett is very active on social media. He's a kind of a fan favorite to a lot of people, and they didn't fast track him. And I think we're going to see why this weekend, why he didn't get fast tracked. I think he lost his last fight. Who did he go against? He went against.
You talking about his very last fight?
Oh yeah. Okay, it wasn't the Tony Ferguson fight. The one before that, Jared Gordon. I think Jared Gordon beat him. I think that was a messed up judging decision. But like I said, usually somebody like Paddy Pimblett, they're going to fast track towards the top, and he's not even ranked. So, and I think the UFC knows they're exposed now, putting him against somebody like Bobby Green. Bobby Green, minus 125 favorite. Paddy Pimblett, plus 105. So it's basically a pick 'em. And I think Bobby Green knocks him out late in the first round.
Another point to say to your point, he went all the way with the distance with the weathered Tony Ferguson when everybody's been finishing him. And this is a new up and coming fresh fighter. Like, you couldn't take out Tony Ferguson. And I think we've seen now he has left himself open, but we all know Bobby Green is wasn't born yesterday. And I think to the skill level that Paddy Pimblett has, I think we might see some finally some adversity that has to come from Paddy Pimblett, because I think his fights haven't been, like you said, been into the storm to actually fight a skillful fighter. And I think Bobby Green is actually a skilled fighter.
So with that being said, who you picking in this one?
Go ahead. Or you already Admire, you already picked?
I'm taking Bobby Green easy.
I say Bobby Green, and plus, since we only got 3 representatives from America, especially going to the place that they're fighting in England, I'm going to have to go with Bobby Green for America.
Isn't both of the fighters minuses? I think I heard on the show that both of these guys are minuses in this one, am I?
The UFC website has Bobby Green at minus 125 and Paddy Pimblett plus 105.
Oh, so Paddy Pimblett's underdog.
Yeah, Paddy Pimblett's the underdog barely. I mean, it's basically a pick 'em. I mean, that's not much spread.
Yeah. Man, I get both of y'all's points, but I think more home cooking to come. I think Paddy Pimblett gets the decision. Bobby Green is gonna bring the fight to Paddy Pimblett, or he's gonna try to. I don't know what the Paddy Pimblett's reach is, but I want to say he's longer than Bobby Green. But with that being said, Bobby Green is not a hard guy to hit. Like, he takes damages in these fights. But to Admire's point, if Green catches him with a nice shot, like, Paddy Pimblett better be aware that he plays around with fire. Green has the tools to put him to sleep, but I don't know if he catches him with that one shot that puts him to sleep. So I'm gonna go with Patty in a decision, especially where they're fighting at. So this is an opportunity for Admire to catch up with me a little bit. I don't think we've picked. Oh, we did both pick CLD. So, but let's go to the co-main event in this one. Your reigning and defending interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall in a rematch against Curtis Blades, and we all know how that first fight against these two ended. It ended in Blades with a TKO, but if you go back and watch the fight, you know it wasn't like a real TKO because that's what Aspinall had that knee injury and it didn't last long. But here's the rematch. So, Admire, what do you think of this one?
I don't remember their first fight. How did their first fight go? I mean, I know how it ended, but like, did Aspinall look good? Did Blades look good?
It didn't last long. It lasted like a minute.
15 seconds.
Yeah, like 50, not even a minute. Yeah, and then he just buckled, and that was it.
All right. Okay.
Oh, my bad. I have one question. Did he get the takedown and then his leg busted, or did what? I don't know. I guess that doesn't tell the fight. I was just seeing if he got a kick takedown from that. But you can't tell it because his knee busted. I just want to know, like, admire how the fight went so I can tell how it was going.
I mean, that was, since that fight, he's had 2 fights since then. You know, all these fights mixed together. I can't remember if he was shooting the takedown or whatnot.
I just turned it on. I'll tell you exactly what happened. Aspinall throws a knee. They kind of exchanged a couple punches. They're exchanging punches. Aspinall throws a kick, throws another kick, and then it looked like Blades kicked him in his knee or something. Yeah, there wasn't no takedown attempt or anything.
It was fluky.
Right.
But go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I didn't know. I asked the question. I didn't know if Admire was going to finish his about the.
I just wanted to know, kind of, because I don't remember the first one, and it looks like really didn't miss much. So this one's kind of the odds are heavily in favor of Tom Aspinall, like huge. But they've kind of fought the same guys. You know, Aspinall, his last win was Pavlovich, and that Marcin Tybura. He's beat Volkov, he's beat Spivak. But Blades is Blades, and he's got some big wins to his name. Blades lost to Pavlovich and Derek Lewis, and that's pretty much, well, Nagano, of course. I got to go with the odds makers on this one, man. Tom Aspinall is a minus 355 favorite against Blades at a plus 280. You can't go against that. That's huge. I mean, you got to bet a ton of money on Aspinall just to win a little money. So it wouldn't even matter what I think. Aspinall, easy.
You think it's going to be easy?
No, the choice is easy to pick him.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, Aspinall's looked good lately, no doubt, but I mean, it's not like Curtis Blades has looked real bad. I mean, he's caught a couple heavy shots. He's a heavyweight. That's what happens. Yeah, Aspinall.
And don't forget, Curtis Blades coming off a win off another hype train, and Jon Almeida, even though Jon Almeida is a little bit younger. I don't even know if he's that much younger when I say that, so don't quote me on that. Him and Aspinall are like the same age, but I feel like Almeida has less experience than Aspinall, but I digress. I don't even know if that's true because Almeida's fought back since 2012, but I don't know. Before I get into my thoughts, I'll let you go, Steve.
I'll go for Tom Aspinall. He looked very crisp with Spopovich. How he did that 1-2, and then he was very crisp. He caught him and then still finished the combination when he was dazed and finished him off. He looked very crisp in that fight. And
You talking about the Pavlovich fight?
Yeah, Pavlovich. I said Spopovich, didn't I?
Yeah.
Pavlovich. And if he's gonna be timid and scared like he was with Derek Lewis, which isn't a quick person, but got, and I think Aspinall is a pretty compared to Popovich, he looked up there into par as far as size, if not taller, and looked a little bit, can weigh out size with probably to be for Curtis, knowing he just can't take somebody down like he did at Derek Lewis, which is why he was timid. Not only for how heavy, and it probably isn't easy for take Derek Lewis down, but for that uppercut and strength. I think Aspinall has more than enough power and quickness if Curtis is lazy with takedowns.
Yeah, we haven't discussed how much pressure is on Aspinall in this fight, because if he loses this fight, probably kiss that Jon Jones fight goodbye. So sometimes pressure bursts pipes so they can make diamonds. But I'm with y'all. I think Aspinall gets the job done, but I can see Curtis Blades making this an ugly fight, because I think Curtis Blades is the best wrestler in the heavyweight division. I mean, Jon Jones probably has something to say about that. But as far as I feel like hypothetically, if Jon Jones and Curtis Blades were to fight, I think he would give Jon Jones some fits with his wrestling ability. But I don't know, it's gonna be loud in there. A lot of people don't talk about how that affects some fighters. And I don't know, I think Tom Aspinall was able to get the job done, because I feel like Curtis Blades is the type of fighter, he always gets so close to the top of the mountain, and then he has these hiccups. There's no reason why Derek Lewis should have knocked him out when he was on that streak, that crazy streak when he was beating JDS and Volkov, and then he ran into Pavlovich he went on another streak. So, and he beat Rosenstruck on the way there and got the TKO win, even though it was a bullshit win over Aspinall. When he gets close, he loses, and he's not he's only lost 4 times, but it just always come at inopportune times. He's lost to Ngannou twice, but we all know how much of a beast Ngannou is, and then Lewis and Pavlovich. So I don't know, but I still think Aspinall is gonna get the W in this one. But I don't know, y'all, if Aspinall loses this one, y'all think it's he goes back to the bottom?
I don't think he goes back to the bottom. I mean, he's still going to hang around that top 5 for sure. Probably have to run it back with some of the same guys that he's been mixing it up with. But I mean, I remember watching that Pavlovich fight, and I remember we talked about it after that, and I was like, scrap the Stipe fight. I want Aspinall and Jones. So, I mean, I'm still there. If he happens to lose to Blades, I don't think it's really anything against him, because he's already beat everybody else. I don't think a loss to Blades this weekend really knocks him back. I think a loss to Blades is more impactful.
I think if he loses the interim title, it's the heavyweight division, so one win maybe even get you another title shot, but I don't think Jones will want to face him if he doesn't have. I think the only reason Jones would face him is because he has that kind of lore of up and coming fighter that they think we could beat him. So if he keeps that going, but if he loses, I think kiss the Jones fight goodbye. You have to wait till Jones retires to get a title shot. What do you think, Steve?
As far as how the situation of what's going to happen after,
if he don't. If he loses, what happened?
Like Admar said, I don't think he'll go to the bottom. I think he's already up, right?
And I don't think if he loses, he goes to the bottom of the division. I'm just saying, as far as you might have a Cyril Gahn maybe jump ahead of him, or somebody that was a little bit behind him jump ahead of him. A few fighters jump ahead of him.
Right, somebody get an opportunity to where he has to be on the back burner for a while.
Exactly.
I can definitely see that. Yeah, Because if you actually look at it, Cyril Gane has, just because probably how shallow the heavyweight division is.
Mm-hmm.
Cyril Gane has sat down for a minute. I don't know if he has injuries, but I've been wanting to see him fight, and he just hasn't been scheduled to fight lately. So maybe he's, out of all those heavyweights, the one person that took an L and sat down, because Dana needed one person to do it, and he might ask the next person to do it, to sit down for a year or more, like Cyril Gane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think to not even get into, to not even let this situation happen, I think Aspinall just needs to go out there and win, because I don't think he wants to even be put in that situation. So we'll see how the fight shakes out. But let's talk about the main event, fellas, for the undisputed UFC welterweight title. We had Leon Rocky Edwards facing Bilal, remember the name, Muhammad. This is a rematch because we all know it was the eye poke, wasn't it? That first fight where it was a no contest, it was an accidental eye poke and whatnot. But after scraping and scrapping, Bilal finally gets the rematch that he wanted, and it's for all the marbles in the welterweight division. Amaya, what are your thoughts on this one?
Man, just through time, I've become more and more of a Leon Edwards fan. You know, I used to be very critical of his style. It didn't seem like he was that exciting. But then over his last few fights, he's kind of opened up and things have changed. You know, like the Nate Diaz fight, you know, a lot of people thought that was kind of boring, but, you know, Diaz had nothing for him. The Usman head kick knockout was great. The Usman rematch, I mean, it was, you know, pretty much a domination by Leon Edwards. And then the big one, the Colby Covington fight, where, I mean, I don't remember what you guys picked, but I know I picked Covington. I was like, you know, Covington is the more explosive fighter, this, that. But Leon Edwards looked like this whole rebranded fighter during that. So, I mean, I'm riding the Leon hype train. Nothing against Bilal Muhammad. This is the fight that I wanted to see. I wanted Bilal to make it back up there and get this fight. But after seeing that Colby Covington fight, I'm just 100% on the Edwards hype train. I think he'll get this win. The odds makers have this one. Leon Edwards minus 250 favorite, Muhammad plus 205.
So Amaya is going with Leon Edwards. Who you got in this one, Steve?
I think Bilal is a good fighter. As far as the excitement, what people want, probably not, but executing as far as having all the skills of MMA. Now, I did see a fight to where he didn't have bad striking, but it was questionable how he's throwing the strikes. I'm not going to lie, compared to a Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards looked like he was, in this fight was years ago, I think, but the fight with Bilal and Leon looks like Leon was downloading him and was very comfortable fighting him. And the momentum stopped when he poked his eye. But I think Leon was looking pretty good the first few seconds or minutes of their fight. I think Leon has way more tools to get a knockout and just defend. I mean, he went up with Kamal Usman, you know, a very good wrestler, and fought him twice and prevailed. I think Bilal has to show some dominance in his wrestling or some upgrading to just the normal for who he's been fighting to win this fight, or else I think Leon is going to have a dominant win or possibly even a knockout that I may be even going for.
So you got Leon?
Yes.
So both of you have Leon. So yeah, I'm happy that Bilal was able to get this fight, but he was on, I guess I don't know how you count that no contest. It's a no contest, it's not a win or loss. But if you take that in consideration, the last fight that he lost was against Jeff Neal. That was way back in 2019, so 5 years ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, because I don't even remember the Wonder Boy fight. Jeez. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Stephen Thompson was a 6 win in a row. 7, 8, 9, 9. You can't sneeze at that. 9 wins in a row. It took him that long to get a title shot, so he definitely deserved it. But as far as excitement level, I think it's going to have to be Leon Edwards that brings the excitement level because, like Steve was saying, Muhammad is a very good fighter. He's well-rounded. He's got enough on the feet where you have to respect it, but he's not a knockout artist. But he relies on his wrestling, and sometimes I wouldn't want to say boring, but he'll get the fighter down, and he's trying to move positions, but he's not really striking while trying to move positions. So it almost looks like lay and pray. So it's not the most exciting fight style. And so a lot of people shit on his fighting style. I'm not gonna lie and be like, I get up for a Bilal Muhammad fight every time I see him on the card. But like I said, you can't ignore that fight, that win streak he was on, minus that no contest in between. And yeah, but he's gonna be fighting in England, Manchester to be specific. So that crowd's gonna be way behind Leon Edwards. And like Admire said, Leon Edwards is slowly but surely making a believer out of the non-believers. I won't say I'm still a huge Leon Edwards fan, but you got to respect what he did, especially the Kamaru Usman, when I thought Usman was on the track of maybe knocking on GSP as far as greatness, and he was able to stop that. And then he got a win over Kobe in a grudge match. So I think he keeps the train rolling. I think he gets the job done against Bilal. I really can't tell how this fight is going to go because we all know what Bilal wants to do. He wants to go to his bread and butter, but nobody was able to keep Leon down, especially since he rose to the championship level. Nobody's been able to really wrestle him and keep him down like that. So I don't know what coaches he's working with, but they've done a good job of helping him do defensive wrestling. So I can see it going similar to what the Usman fight. I see Leon maybe keeping it on the feet, and he might catch with a big shot, but I can see it being a unanimous decision type win as well. So I have Leon Edwards as well. And I guess we'll talk about more of the fallout once we do the recap show. But you said Leon is a minus 300, you said, Admire?
Leon is a minus 250, Muhammad plus 205.
Okay, so yeah, so the odds makers know what they're talking about a lot of the time. So, but Muhammad's not that big of a underdog, but he's big enough. So we'll see how these fights play out. And also another aspect of this card that we didn't talk about. What do you think about the start time? They have them starting over there like at 5 in the mornings. A lot of fighters have been complaining about that. I think it's fair for them to start that early over there.
I mean, it's different compared to what we've seen on other fight cards, but a lot of these fighters are already doing that to get up and train. So I don't think it's that much out of their wheelhouse. It might give, the England. I mean, I don't know. The England guys, it's early for them because that's what they're used to, unless they do. Well, a lot of them do train here, but our guys, that's a whole time shift for them. So I don't know. I mean, you adapt. It's just a time change. Go to bed early.
What do you think, Steve?
If it was other things like, that has to do with helping humans, I understand. But since this is entertainment level, that's a small minority that I don't care. I'm seeing it on time.
So
I don't think there's nothing lost as far as, nothing too personal. I think we all take L's somewhere in the world to watch a card we want to, even Americans watching Abu Dhabi. Of course, some of us have to watch that during our work day. So, I mean, I think we all take, back and forth all through the globe, I guess.
But it's interesting though, because historically with these England cards, you'll see them do the afternoon start time. So it all comes down to money. They probably saw the statistics saying that they can make more money if they have it on regular time for us. But I like those afternoon cards because get the fight early and then you do other stuff Saturday night. But I guess when they're going with
but the people that are going to see the fight live are going to go to it no matter what. So their focus is the pay-per-view buys. How are they going to get more pay-per-view buys? Having it in the midday or having it at night? So it's definitely a business move.
But I can see like during football season, yeah, but there's nothing really going on except regular season baseball. So I feel like people will buy it. But, you know, it's summertime. Maybe people may be out during the day. So I get it, that too. But like you said, like statistics probably show that more people are buying the pay-per-views at night. But it ain't affecting us. So I guess we don't really have anything to worry about. But it will be an interesting weekend of fights, hopefully for the good. So we'll be back next week to recap this card. Like I said, hopefully it's a good one. But make sure to follow us on all the social media platforms, Instagram, X. Also, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. But that'll do it for us here at Haymaker Combat Sports. Until next time, be safe out there. Later.
Hit the takedown, ground and pound, that was from the top. Heel hooking on one platter, leave you in the knot. Pound for pound, been the greatest. Sitting on the top, and I'm laughing at the fools who think they coming for the. Hit the takedown, ground and pound, that was from the top. Heel hooking on one platter, leave you in the knot. Pound for pound, been the greatest. Sitting on the top, and I'm laughing.